had to get my water. Left my water and my coffee on the table behind me. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The coffee is covered, so it should stay nice and hot for me as I do a few basic stretches to get my morning going. Little twist. Little twist the other way. It's a little early this morning. I didn't think anyone would join me at this time. Thought it would just be me. But I had 30 some odd people hop on right away. I woke up early this morning and I don't know, I had a bunch of scary thoughts going through my head and some college memories and a hazing incident that I dreamt about as I was waking up that kind of was upsetting. And hopped on and had a message from a buddy that it's time to make a, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Gary can hear me. For some reason, Carol Woodward said she cannot hear me, but Gary Beatty said it's mid-morning in Toronto, so must be able to hear me. So thank you for joining. But again, yeah, I had a kind of off-putting dream. And again, I've talked about it a lot. I've had a lot of dreams of late, and a lot of I don't know, crazy dreams. And, when I wake up, I get my heart racing and get all the negative thoughts and the anxious thoughts bouncing through my mind. And again, when I woke up this morning, was feeling all this anxiety, I had a text from a buddy saying, it's time to make a pot of coffee. And he was talking about himself. And as I laid there and said, wow, he's getting up early, I realized maybe it was time for me to make a pot of coffee as well. So that is what I did. And that's almost a metaphor for getting out of bed and getting the day started for me. For a guy that's been doing a coffee show for 5 years where he starts his mornings off and sharing some stuff and some thoughts and some feelings. Yeah, it's kind of a metaphor for let's go do it. Let's get up. Let's make the bed. Let's get the coffee started. Let's go live and let's get our day going. So let's get our day going. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to feel better. Somebody asked real quickly, I don't want to ignore, somebody asked real quickly, how's the new job? The new job is going to be starting next Thursday, but I got to get to it, and that journey starts tomorrow, so stay tuned. Good morning, Nick the Explorer. Thank you for joining. I'm going to start my morning with some stretches, just some, I don't know, you guys do whatever you want. What's my favorite coffee? How about I stretch and answer questions while I do it? My favorite coffee, if I had to pick one, and I could only have one. By the way, when you're doing yoga, you're supposed to be breathing during it, but I'm still answering questions because I'm multitasking. If I could only have one more cup of coffee the rest of my life, I think it'd be the Sumatra coffee by Starbucks, which is a dark roast. And it's a big, bold flavor. And I was talking to the barista about it yesterday at Starbucks or the other day and said it's almost like you have some dirt or earth poured in the cup. It's got that much flavor. And it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. And I don't think a beginning coffee drinker would like it at all. Normally I stand up and do some toe touches now, but I'm going to stay on the ground and just kind of stretch my hamstrings out gently, real gently, because the last thing you want to do when you're working out or doing yoga especially is hurt yourself. And I know I did yoga for probably 10 years and really enjoyed going to classes. And, sometimes you want to move the envelope, but you don't want to push it too far. And you don't want to hurt yourself because, I don't know, yourself is too valuable, especially as you get older. It's easy to hurt yourself. So you need to be gentle. Do I have a girlfriend? No, but I have 2 ex-wives. Does that count for anything? I'm going to go all the way down to the floor. We're going to really get down here and do some twists. Oh, I had a guy reach out to me yesterday. Some media company want me to start a podcast. And there's a point. There's a reason I'm bringing it up right now. He said he thought I'd crush it in a podcast. And again, I've done this show for 5 years. And it's always been video. And I've done it in a million different locations and from different angles. I've never actually done it from this angle or this exact location before. It's kind of a fun angle. But I think they'd want me doing my show in a studio with a fancy mic and fancy cameras and what have you. And again, I don't know. I don't ever listen to podcasts, but they're all audio, aren't they? And I think, I don't know. I guess the benefit of doing one is I could be stretching and doing whatever I want and being in any position or wearing whatever clothes. But the nice thing about my show is I already do that. I hear some walking around upstairs. I've been staying at a buddy's for a couple weeks, and I'm going to stay here till tomorrow. And then I'm headed off on my journey, which I must say I'm a little frightened by. Excited about, but frightened by. And somewhere during the night, I own a Suzuki Bergman 400. Rogan and others are also video. Yeah, but I mean, I see clips of their videos, and they're just sitting in a chair with a headset on or whatever, a microphone. And I don't know. I mean, Rogan's, probably the biggest podcaster there is. And he has his own unique insights into things, and he gets a lot of big guests. But yeah, I just don't know. I guess I don't know. But what I do know is, let me see, if I do one long downward dog, maybe that'll be enough for my yoga this morning. And I don't even know how long it'll be. I'm doing it in socks right now. And when you're doing it in socks, your feet slip. Oh, it does feel good, though. It does feel good. Even though my yoga session was abbreviated and I wasn't fully into it this morning, again, I say this a lot. I think it's better to do a little bit than none at all. And I have my body feeling, 5 or 10% more limber already just from doing a few minutes of stretching while I'm talking. But anyway, good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. My name is Ken Tracy, and this is Coffee with Ken. It's Friday morning. It's May 17th. It's a very early hour today. It's 5:24. I normally don't go live this early, but we'll get to that in a minute. Happy Friday. It's a show I've been doing for quite some time. It's a show about me talking and sharing some feelings and sharing a little bit about the ups and downs and the whatever random thoughts I might have bouncing through my head at 5:24 in the morning. And right now I don't have a whole lot of thoughts. I have one thought, which leads me to this. For those that have been watching a while, it's not just a show about about me talking. Is it really your birthday? Is it really your birthday? Is it really your birthday? Let me finish my intro. Get back, hang with me, birthday person. At 5:24 in the morning, staying at a buddy's house, I don't know if I can celebrate a birthday like I like to. For a long time, I was having viewers on a different platform tell me it was their birthday, and I'd light a candle and I'd sing really loud. Be kind of obnoxious, but I can't do that in my buddy's basement. It would wake up him and his son. Can't do that. But anyway, for those that have been watching a while, you know it's not just a show about me talking or singing happy birthday. For those that have been watching a while, you know it's also a show about me sharing my love of coffee. And with that in mind, I am excited to have my first sip at this early hour on this Friday morning. My hope is wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that you got a hot cup of coffee in front of you as well. Cheers to us. When I was brewing it, and I grab out of a tub of Keurig cups that I buy at Aldi, and I don't know, my eyes are bad or the light was dim or whatever excuse I have, I couldn't see it. And as I was brewing it up, I'm going, oh, it's the hazelnut. That's the smell I was getting. And as I took my first sip, I was thinking it might be the French vanilla. So let's take another sip. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I don't want to leave you guys hanging. I cannot leave you guys hanging or me wondering what it was while I did my show. Hold on. Shh. Look outside. It's foggy out there. It's the French vanilla. I'm so thankful for my buddy. Let me stay with him for a little while. Trying to be a good house guest and creep around like a mouse. And not upset his life in any way. And it's weird. You don't know how, I don't know. I think I'm a pretty friendly person and a clean person and kind person, and pleasant. Can be funny from time to time. These are some of my attributes. But you don't know if your energy is disturbing a household, and you don't want to overstay your welcome as a guest. And I mean, he's an old friend, and I'm sure he's okay with it and hopefully enjoyed having me. But it'll be good to give him his house back tomorrow and get on the road and start my show from whatever location or whatever destination I'm doing, because I'm headed west. And again, I got a job opportunity. Somebody said they're definitely trying the Starbucks coffee I mentioned. It's the Starbucks Sumatra. It's delicious. It's a hearty flavor. I wouldn't give it to a beginner coffee drinker because I compare it to Guinness beer. I don't drink beer anymore. I don't drink alcohol, despite my Sam Adams shirt. But I compare it to like drinking a Guinness beer. It's really a big flavor. And if you're a beginning beer drinker, you're probably not going to like a Guinness. And if you're a beginning coffee drinker, you're probably not going to like the Starbucks Sumatra because it's got a lot of coffee flavor. And I don't know, I think it's awesome. But I do like to answer your question a little further, I do like mixing it up a little bit. I'm drinking the French vanilla right now. I also have hazelnut up there. I usually like the dark roast, but if I'm going to get flavored, pumpkin spice is probably my favorite flavored coffee. The cinnamon dolce I really enjoy. Starbucks has a delicious one. There's a toasted coconut mocha that Starbucks makes that's really nice. And again, I like to mix it up a little bit. But if I had to have one flavor the rest of my life, it would be the Starbucks Sumatra. So let's have a little French vanilla. But anyway, how you guys doing this morning? How you feeling? How'd you sleep? I slept fairly well. Again, I go to bed pretty early, and I went to bed early last night at, I don't know, probably just after 9 o'clock. But again, I woke up with a bunch of dreams and a bunch of worries and a bunch of fears and a bunch of panics. And ironically, I was flipping through social media somewhere during the night, which isn't a great habit. I wouldn't recommend it, but it's what I do. It kind of calms my mind down and puts me back to sleep. Watching some of my videos or editing some of my videos, they help me sleep. Hello from Reno. And I'm riding a Suzuki Bergman a long, long way starting Saturday afternoon. And I'm not a lover of speed or heights or danger or adrenaline junkie in any way. And there's people out there that are. I wish I was a little more comfortable with all of what I just mentioned and a little less nervous. And, oh, good, Gary. Thank you for joining. I wish I was a little less nervous and a little less jumpy and a little more confident. And I think that would make me a better rider, a better driver, to be honest with you, of a car. But I got this from my mom, who I remember anytime I drove would say, "Do you see that car? Do you see that car?" Or "Whoa," or grab, "Yes, Mom, I see that car." But you made me jumpy. And I think I'm still jumpy because of it. And you don't want to be too jumpy. You want to have a calm confidence about you in whatever you're doing. And if you're riding on a scooter and feeling nervous, you're not riding to the maximum of your ability. And during the night, I flipped on a video and it said everyone should own a scooter or something like that. And there was a picture of my Suzuki Bergman 400, which is the bike, good morning, RJ, is the bike that I'm going to be riding off on. And so I started watching this video, and there was a guy with an accent, and you could tell by the lighting or the background that it was a foreign country. But anyway, he started filming what this Suzuki Bergman looked like. And I go, hey, I could do this sort of video. I could probably do it better than this guy. I'd put it in prettier scenery. And, I don't know, love on my scooter in a way he couldn't possibly. Yes, I wear gloves most often when riding. But then he got on his bike, this guy. He got on his bike, and I should have known. Because, after he did his quick intro, they flipped to, he's a professional video guy, but he's also a professional, I think, motorcycle rider. And there's pictures of him riding, holding these edges on motorcycles and all sorts of stuff. And I'm going, wow. But then he had a helmet camera on his helmet while he was riding my bike, the Suzuki Bergman 400. And he was flying down the roads with no fear whatsoever. And he was flying by cars, and he wasn't blinking twice or thinking about it. And I was going, wow, I bet this guy wouldn't be scared to drive where I'm going. So, but I'm not this guy. Turns out he was actually just riding through Britain, and he was saying how awesome of a bike it was and how much fun it was to ride, and how scooters in Britain are generally the smaller type, just the 50cc bikes that top out at about 30 miles an hour. And the other drivers on the road must be freaking out to see a scooter going 70 miles an hour like he was and cutting back and forth on these narrow roads. It's making my palms just sweaty just thinking about it. It's making me question whether I'm capable of the journey I have in front of me. One bite at a time, a wise man once said. One bite at a time. So I'm going to drink a little more coffee. I don't know how much I have for you today, and I got started early just because, again, I was waking up and feeling a little nervous and feeling a little panicky and feeling a little edgy, as I often do. And I don't know, somehow just the thought of making some coffee and starting my day and getting up and feeling productive and doing a little stretching and doing a little talking made me start feeling a little better. And I'm glad I did. There's always time for sleep later. Once you get on the road, the anxiety will cease. I don't know, RJ. I don't know. I hope so. RJ is very confident in my driving ability. I'm not as confident as he. I can ride, but I'm aware, maybe too aware. Again, I hate to bring up drinking stories, but if I would go to a bar 10 years ago sober, which didn't happen, but let's just pretend that it did. If I was to go to a bar sober and play darts or pool totally sober, I think I'd play okay. But if I had 2 or 3 drinks in me and was loosened up and the edge was off and I wasn't nervous or whatever, I think I'd play a little better. So, again, I think I'm hyper nervous a little bit while riding and too aware and need to be confident in my machine and confident in my skill set, because I think I'm a pretty skilled driver, and put it in God's hands after that. Luca asked, what's the time does my day start, or do I get up? I don't set an alarm. I'm I guess between jobs right now. I'm going to start a new job on next Thursday, and do that kind of as a side show to what this is, because this is honestly what I think in 5 years I might do other things and mow lawns just for fun and I don't know, keep busy somehow. But I think I'm going to keep doing this. And I went to lunch with my dad yesterday, and I told him, how I'm making a little bit of money on social media, and he knows that I've been doing it for a long time. And I go, it's not about the money, but it is nice to see your hard work rewarded. And I told him what I was making. He was pleasantly surprised. It's still not much. You wouldn't be pleasantly surprised. But I think he likes numbers and understands growth rates. And I told him a year ago I was making $1 a day, let's say. And today I'm making $5 a day. And I think in 4 or 5 years I'm going to be making, a lot more than that. And kind of got me excited. And again, I don't do this. I do this out of habit. I do this that it's good for me. I do this that it clears my mind and gets my day started. I do this hopefully because it's helping some people to realize that it's okay to have anxiety, or okay to have financial ups and downs, or struggles, or issues, or problems, or relationship troubles, because we all do. And for the longest time, I thought it was just me, and it was just my head yelling at me and saying mean things to me. But I think there's a lot of people that struggle with anxiety and fear and worry. And I hope, and I know there's a lot of people that struggle with relationships and financial stuff and career stuff and addiction stuff. And I figure, as I was telling my dad, I don't think I'm good at sales, but I'm good at talking. And people seem to like me for whatever reason generally. And therefore that works out well, doing this show, having a cup of coffee, and just kind of I don't know, starting your day and chatting and building an audience and having fun and looking forward to it, and making my bed and doing my stretching and making my coffee and getting my day started. So, a little more coffee. Somebody asked, what will I do if I encounter bad weather? I don't know. I don't know. Again, it's funny. I've told a lot of people what I'm doing, and I've had countless stories about the things that could go wrong, and the bears that I could get eaten by, and the storms that I might encounter, and the traffic, and the bad drivers on the road, and the winds, and the speed, and the any other problem you can imagine. And I think by doing this show and having the conversations I have and experiencing life the way I do, you get to understand the human mind a little bit more, if you will. And everyone wonders, what would happen, what could happen, what's worst case, and kind of go backwards from that. And I always just say, well, worst case is me getting hit by a truck. And then everything else is much less worst case. And I go, hit by a truck. Doesn't sound like a great way to go. Good morning, Keith. Doesn't sound like a great way to go. But I've lived a good life. And it would be kind of an interesting end to the book that is me and to my storyline. It'd be a very abrupt end. I don't know who would write that last chapter. And then he got hit by a truck. I joke about it just because, I don't know. I got bigger fears. It's going to sound weird and morbid or whatever. I guess I don't fear death that much. I fear everything else. Wind, bears, speed, heights. I mean, I don't fear it, but I think about it and I worry about it, and I've let it consume me for too long. Getting rejected, I was scared of. Asking a girl out and being embarrassed was always a terrifying thing for me. I guess public speaking, I remember going up and giving a speech on Abraham Lincoln in 5th grade and being terrified. Because I had note cards, and I have shaky hands, and holding the note cards and reading the note cards and trying to sound cool, I think is hard. And I've been reached out a lot just for public speaking for whatever reason, because I've learned I'm a good storyteller. But I don't know that I'd go up to the podium and present to a bunch of people with more than a couple ideas written down on paper, like a couple words, a couple subjects to hit on or topics to hit on. Because I think the closer I try and follow a script, the less natural it sounds and the less authentic and the less believable it is. And I think that's part of the key to me in going live, that I don't know, kind of wing it, and I'm comfortable, and it I don't know, comes across as this comes across. Have I ever been to San Diego? Yes, I have. I moved there in 1990 or 91 or something for a short period. I think it's called La Mesa, which is a suburb, not a suburb, but a neighborhood in just west of the beach by, 10 miles or so, 5 miles maybe. It was pretty. San Diego's pretty. San Diego's real pretty. I'm not a Southern California person, though. I like weather, and I talk about it a lot. I talk about moving, and lo and behold, I am moving tomorrow. But I'm not really moving. It's more of an adventure. When does a trip or a vacation change to a journey or an adventure, change to a move? Because I'm scheduled to be there for 5 months where I'm going. And I don't know if I'd call that a move. I don't own much. After the amount of times I've moved and been divorced and separated and stuff, I tend to strip down to the minimal stuff. And every time I do it, it gets stripped down even more. And now I'm going to be packing up everything I need on a scooter. And I was talking to my buddy where I'm staying last night, and he's saying, oh, you should do a practice run and pack up all your stuff and see if it fits. Didn't really think about that. I was just assuming that it would. I've got a storage compartment underneath my seat. I've got a case on the back, and I'm planning to bungee cord a small traveling bag and a backpack on the back seat of my bike. And he thought that was a good idea, but then he suggested I take it out for a practice ride today after I do that. And he's probably a more well thought out guy than me. And it's probably a good idea, but I may or may not do it. I feel honestly pretty proud of myself that I have everything I need in my room upstairs. All it needs to be, I probably need to do another load of wash. And am I going to buy new clothes when I get there? No. I'm not planning on it. I packed I haven't packed. I've got strewn about my room 2 pairs of blue jeans, 2 pairs of shorts, a pair of swimming shorts, about 6 t-shirts, about 6 pairs of underwear, about 6 pairs of socks, toiletries, plenty of toiletries, a blanket, and various cell phone charger type stuff. And I think that's about it. One baseball hat. I think I got a stocking cap as well. But I'm planning to go pretty minimal. And I see a Ilozamider DC. Somebody asked me if I do one-on-one sessions for mentoring and guidance kind of talk. A few months ago, when I started posting more videos on Instagram and my page started growing, I had so many people reaching out wanting to talk about life coaching and sobriety and mental health and issues they were having. And I actually booked one appointment with a guy who lived in New York, and he was struggling with some decisions he was making. And he paid me $100 to talk to him for an hour. And I said, if you don't find value in it, I'll send 50 back. I'd never done it before, but he sent me the $100. We did a one-on-one talk for an hour. And if you want to do that, we could set that up. I think what he was struggling with, I don't know if I offered the value I want to give my clients with his issues. I think I could really help somebody with sobriety or being okay with mental health, or I don't know, just kind of a shoulder to cry on. And I think I could probably offer some advice in a lot of different ways. But, you know, I thought my advice to him, and it might have been the perfect advice, was doesn't sound like you're ready to make a decision yet. Just keep moving forward in life, and the answers will become more clear. Because a lot of us struggle with big decisions. And again, I was talking to my dad over lunch yesterday, and he ordered a beer. And he ordered a 22-ounce Modelo to make me jealous a little bit. Because one thing I liked in beers were the big ones. And he ordered a big beer. He said he'd leave 6 ounces in the glass. And I said, well, don't do that, or I might finish it for you. But I was joking. And we talked a little bit about how easy I found, or not how easy, but I talked to him about how I think people that are struggling to give up with vices, let's just call them, let's not even call them addictions. We almost should, okay, I'm going to start talking about something that's going to maybe tick some people off if I don't know if using the word addiction is helpful or hurtful. Personally, I think it's hurtful because it gives us an excuse to keep doing it. Well, I'm addicted to this. I can't stop coffee or beer or gambling or whatever because it's an addiction. But I think if we called it a vice, we would remove the excuse, and I think it would be easier to stop doing. And that might sound crazy, but I was talking to my dad yesterday and said, I just don't think most people that struggle with giving up drinking really want to give up drinking. And does that make sense for you? I think all the people that are just don't want to. They're trying to convince themselves they want to. And I don't mean offense, but again, I went to one AA meeting, and this upsets people. I think all of them wanted to go and have a beer. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with wanting to go and have a beer, but I think everybody in that room would have rather been in a bar drinking a beer. And I was the only person in the room that didn't want to be doing that. Do you know what I mean? And I think if you don't really want to do something, it's really hard to commit to doing it. Stopping smoking, stopping gambling, stopping drinking, stopping weed in my case. I thought I wanted to stop them, and I knew they weren't good for me, and I knew it was expensive and bad for my health and bad for my relationships and bad for the world as a whole. And I knew it would be a good idea to stop, but I didn't really want to, so I didn't, and I kept doing it another 10 years. And I blamed the alcohol and its addictive nature. And my disease, my potential alcoholism. Um, and maybe those are just excuses. Maybe calling an addiction or even calling alcoholism a disease, and I am sorry for anybody out there. I don't mean to offend, but these are just my thoughts. And I think if we can't explore our thoughts, we can't come up with solutions. But I think maybe calling it a disease or an addiction is making an excuse. And I think we'd have a better chance to leave those vices behind by just calling them vices and realizing and accepting. Because if you don't want to stop drinking, or you don't want to stop smoking, or you don't want to stop gambling, don't. You know what I mean? Do I think alcohol should be illegal? I don't like the concept of that. But I think alcohol's probably up there with heroin in terms of one of the most dangerous drugs. And the fact that we've got it socially acceptable is a real problem. And the fact that I'm looked at as a strange person because I don't drink is a problem. And I don't want anyone to feel like I'm shaming them for drinking. But alcohol's a serious drug. And only over the last 5 years did I start recognize that. At 5 years that I was drinking. And I started feeling, if I'm going into Walgreens to buy my 12-pack of Heineken, which I did every other day, and then some, I was almost going to a drug dealer's house to buy drugs. And I started feeling guilty as I went in the alcohol or liquor department. And I started feeling ashamed when I put the 12-pack up because I realized I was just buying drugs. I used to think it was a beverage or it was something I partied with. And although I don't like the idea of making it illegal because people are going to do it, and honestly, I think people should be able to do it if they want. Grabbing 2 bottles of beer a week is too much? No, not at all. Not at all. If I could drink 2 bottles of beer a week, over a dinner or watching a movie or smoke a little bit of weed on a Saturday night, watching a cool movie just to alter my brain just a little bit, I'd do it. But realistically, that doesn't work for me, and I don't think it works for most people. I think we enjoy it too much because it feels too good, and we think it's a miracle. I remember how fun my first buzz was, alcohol-wise and pot-wise. And it was amazing. It felt great. It never felt as good again, but there were times of elation, and our body gets hooked to the elation and to this euphoric feeling that you almost can't find anywhere else but by doing drugs. And that's the problem. The problem is, if you really like it, you always want to be doing it. And if you always want to be doing it, you're not going to be able to find joy in talking to a friend or going for a walk with your dad or playing with your babies, because in the back of your mind, you're going to be thinking, when's this walk over? I want to go grab a beer. Or, I hope my babies go to bed soon because, I don't know. In my case, I was just drinking while I was playing with the babies, And I'm sure a ton of people do that. Did workers recognize me at Walgreens? Yeah. Yeah. Of course they did. I think some of them might be followers of Coffee with Ken. It should have been called Heineken with Ken. Or Sam Adams with Ken. Hello, Melgo67. I've got my eyes on you. I hope your neighbor's doing very well. Was I a functioning alcoholic or functional alcoholic? I don't know what it means to be an alcoholic. And I'll just tell you, and this is going to really offend people. I drank 8 beers a day for 35 years-ish. I'm rounding. I don't know, something like that. Not every day. Some days way more and some days a few less. But most days. And not drinking on a day was a maybe once every 3 weeks occasion. And having one was never an option. It was, 4 or 6, and it was only because I didn't have more money to buy more. So I would think by any definition that I was an alcoholic. But the fact that I stopped drinking and am not really tempted to because I decided I didn't want to drink anymore makes me wonder what it means to be an alcoholic. And again, the two groups that really, I thought I had haters. I got about 2 or 3 trolls that stalk all my accounts on TikTok and leave bad messages, and I thought they were mean. But the two groups that really get mad at me are the pot smokers and the people in AA, because I question AA. For me, I openly question it. If it helps anybody else, God bless them. And I question the value of pot smoking. And because of that, pot smokers tend to think of pot as this holy grail of natural thing that God delivered us to reduce anxiety. And I realized for me it did everything but. Maverick saying I wasn't an alcoholic if I just quit cold turkey. See, I don't know. What if I just wanted to quit? Like I said, for 10 years before, for 10 years, Things That Matter, that sounds like a good book. For 10 years before, I wanted to cut back. I hoped to cut back. I thought about cutting back. I knew it was a problem. I wasn't able to quit. But I wasn't really committed. And what if all these addicts aren't committed and don't really want to quit? And I'm not blaming them or calling them weak or saying they're wrong or stupid, but I'm saying until you really want to quit, you can't quit because your wife's nagging you or your parents are worried about you. You got to quit because you want to quit. And I didn't want to finish my dad's beer last night or order a beer yesterday, because I knew it wouldn't stop there. I knew I'd go, hey, that was okay. Why don't I meet some buddies out today before I go for a few beers? And then tomorrow on the ride, I'd be driving by some bar in some podunk town in the middle of Iowa, and I'd go, hey, maybe a beer would take the edge off and make the ride a little more fun. I ended up sleeping on the back deck because I ended up having 10. So I'm not sure. And I'd like to be able to have this discussion. I think unhostile discussions are important. But people will, I'm willing to explore my thoughts and somebody else's thoughts if they want to listen to my thoughts. But so often in life, we're trying to beat the other one in the argument, but we're not trying to uncover the truth. And I think until you explore different perspectives and are open to different perspectives, you can't uncover the truth or get to the bottom of it or figure out new ways. So, anyway, it's Saturday morning. It's about 6 o'clock. I got started early today. I've talked for a little longer. I got started a little earlier. Still got a little bit of coffee. Did you map out my journey in regards to my nights? Not exactly. Was I a cigarette smoker? Yes. Did I map out my journey? No. But I had a buddy send me the easiest way to get from DeKalb to where I'm going, and taking the back roads. But there's so many variables. That I'm struggling with mapping it out too precisely, because I don't know how far I can ride in a day. I've been riding a lot lately. I have maybe 1,100 miles on my bike already this year. And wait, it is Friday. Did I say it's Saturday? Yeah, it is Friday. I apologize. I'm getting ahead of myself. It's Friday. Um, I already have 1,100 miles on my bike this year, which is a lot, but it's less than I'm going to be riding in the next week. So that puts it in perspective. So when I say I'm riding a lot, I might have ridden, I don't know, 30 miles yesterday, which is a fair amount in a day, but it's nothing compared to the 300 I'm going to be riding a day. And however, that being said, I think it's going to be in a lot of ways easier and safer riding because I'm not riding with rush hour traffic or thousands of cars around me or driveways with cars pulling out or what have you. I'm going to be driving on a 2-lane highway and hopefully feeling comfortable. Somebody asked, there were a couple questions I'll get back to. Do I ride gloves or wear gloves when I ride? Yeah. I've been wearing these leather work gloves, and they're not as ideal as motorcycle gloves or riding gloves would be, which have actual padding in it. But I feel they're better than not wearing anything, and I feel more comfortable. And if it's not real warm outside, it actually feels nice and keeps your hands a little warm, and I don't know, feels like it grips the wheel a little better. RJ asked if I was a cigarette smoker. I was for a year and a half. I thought I was really hooked. I'll tell you what, I think nicotine's a very addictive drug. And I started smoking while I was waiting tables, and the waiters I was working with would go out and take a smoke break. I wanted to take a break, so I'd go out. I didn't want them smoking alone, so I'd bum a cigarette off them, and then I'd bum one the next day, and then I'd bum another, and then I started feeling bad about it. Then I started buying packs of cigarettes. Then I became an everyday smoker who was sitting on his patio in the morning smoking a cigarette as he was drinking coffee and driving in his car. And at this time, I had this piece of crap Volkswagen Jetta with cloth seats. And my girl, who's now 15, it was embarrassing. I'd pick up from preschool, and I'd be smoking in the car, but not while she was in there, but on the way. And there'd be an ash would fly out and back up into your car and put a hole in your cloth seats. And it was just embarrassing. And I was ashamed of myself for doing it. And as a runner for much of his life, I felt shame in cigarette smoking and felt it was such a dirty habit. But it was fairly hard. Again, I thought about quitting for a while. I was worried I never would. And I'll tell you what worked for me. Because I smoked a cigarette about 2 months ago. I didn't really like it. It kind of made my head feel funny. It felt good for about a minute. But the way I quit cigarette smoking was I never swore off smoking cigarettes. I swore off ever buying another pack of cigarettes again. So if I see a guy outside of a bar smoking cigarettes or an office building or walking down the street or on a golf course, I could still say, hey man, do you mind if I smoke a cigarette or bum a cigarette? And as is custom amongst cigarette smokers, he'll probably say yes, and I can smoke it. But I can't go buy it. And pretty soon, you feel a little guilty bumming cigarettes, and you don't hang out with cigarette smokers all the time. And if you're not buying it, the gaps between your smoking grow longer and longer. And, I've smoked one cigarette in the last 3 years probably, and it was about 2 months ago. So I'll tell you what, if anyone's... Because, again, I talk about eating an elephant a lot. And I talk about it a lot because I got to remind myself that that's how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. You don't eat it all in one sitting. But the thought of giving up smoking cigarettes forever and never smoking another cigarette can be daunting. And I didn't. I never made that promise. I never made that promise with alcohol or weed. But I think... I just don't think I want them in my life anymore. And I know if I brought alcohol or weed back into my life, I'd more than likely enjoy them so much that that I wouldn't want to stop doing them. And I'm trying to enjoy life without the haze that comes with drinking alcohol and smoking pot. And I know my life's better. And I know my relationship with myself is better. And I laugh more now. But not this, drunk, kind of loud, obnoxious laugh. But I think I feel an inner confidence that I didn't have before since I stopped drinking and smoking pot. And despite the fact that I still have fears and struggles and I'm terrified about riding where I'm going and wake up with bad dreams sometimes, and I still have bills to pay and I still have worries and life's not perfect. But I know every day I can hang my hat on the hook that is sobriety and being sober and being proud of that and leaving that behind and leaving the shame behind and the guilt behind, because there was shame and guilt associated with it, and waking up every morning at 3 a.m. going, oh, why'd I drink so much, or why'd I spend so much, or why'd I gamble so much, or boy, I feel fuzzy. This day's going to suck. I haven't felt that in, 2.5 years. And I used to feel that every other day. And life is too short to wake up feeling this day is going to suck every other day. So anyway, it's Friday morning. I want to thank you so much for joining today. I so appreciate you guys for hopping on and following my page. I'm still nervous. I'm heading off on a grand journey tomorrow. I'm sure I'm going to be shooting videos where possible at random stops along the way and posting the videos. And the scenery should get pretty cool. Not for a while. Not for a while. I don't know if anyone's driven west from Chicago before. It's not gorgeous for a while. I got Illinois and Iowa and Nebraska that I'm going to be going through on my journey west. And those aren't the most flashy states out there. But pretty soon you get into some flashy states once you get through that. And I'm going to get to some exciting places and some fun places and places where I'm going to have new adventures and get my feet under me and get some space where I need some space in life. And looking forward to it. And I hope you're looking forward to your day as well. I want to thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate you guys hopping on with me, especially at this early hour that I got started today. I appreciate you. I hope you had a wonderful night's sleep. I hope your week's going real well. I hope you're excited about your Friday. I hope you're feeling good, that you're loving yourself, that you're forgiving yourself. And as always, I hope to talk to you soon. Bye-bye.